This is basic and advanced maintenance for the CS3 inline regulator. The CS3, the inline regulator, is located inside the frame. It's very easy to access just by removing the two screws in the bottom of the pop assembly. Just loosen those, and then you can remove both those screws. Once you've done that, simply pull pop's body down. Inside the bottom of the frame you can see the spring and the piston in there. In order to remove those you'll need some pointy nose pliers, then carefully grip the stem, that wiggle and remove the spring and the piston. Now I'm going to just give everything a clean, and grease and inspect regulator parts. We can just wipe out the pocket inside frame using a microfiber. Place that to one side for now. And then for basic maintenance, all we're really going to do is clean up all the parts, the piston, the spring and the O-rings, and these two parts here. Place those to one side. Clean O-rings on the pop's body. And then for the basic maintenance, the only two O-rings that we really need to take care of here and make sure are greased are the O-ring on the piston and the O-ring that's inside the regulator body. There's a number 8 O-ring inside there. Those can both be greased without having to remove anything. Just apply a bit of grease onto O-ring and just work that around the inside of the number 8 O-ring there. Take a small amount here, put that onto the piston O-ring, and what we can do is actually reassemble piston back into the frame. Just push that down into place. And then if we're just doing the basic maintenance, that would be enough for now. We could just put a little bit of grease around the O-rings here and put the pop assembly back in. But we're going to go through slightly more advanced maintenance now, which involves removing the reg body itself from the pops. Just take a 1/8 hex key and slide that through the hole in the top of the regulator body. You can loosen that and then unscrew that. You can see in this case the adjuster has actually come out with the reg body itself. Clean the grease off that, we'll come back to that in a second. And again, we can just see inside here, the bottom of here, there is the number 8 O-ring. This is the O-ring that needs the most attention inside the regulator assembly, purely because when the input from the tank comes into this part, this O-ring in here does actually see whatever the tank pressure is coming in into the pops. So this is the O-ring that over in the whole of the CS3 marker, this O-ring does see the most wear and tear and should be maintained and replaced most often. We'll just place that to one side for now because we've maintained the number 8 in there. We have taken out the adjuster. If the adjuster stays inside the regulator body, or sorry, the pop's body, and all we need to do is take our 1/8 hex key and we just turn this until it comes out of the top. Inside here we have the main regulator seal. This black O-ring, this black seal here rather, is the regulator seal. Now in order to get access to this regulator seal, first of all we'll inspect it to make sure it's in good condition, it's got no cracking in it, it's got no cuts or pieces taken out of that regulator seal. If we do need to replace this, then it's simply a case of putting a 1/8 the bottom, take some pair of pliers on the top, just loosen that, and remove the adjuster top. The seal inside here can be quite difficult to remove once it's been clamped into place. can sometimes just do it by working fingernail around the edge and lifting it out. It's slowly starting to come out here. Work your way around. See, the seal is starting to come out. And underneath this seal there is the purge poppet and spring. Once the seal's out, you'll be able to see we have a purge poppet and spring there. Just inspect again, make sure there's no nicks or grooves or any part of this little purge poppet is damaged. I can go back inside. And we can inspect the regulator seal fully. This regulator seal can be placed in either way. Doesn't really matter. Obviously this one's in good condition, doesn't need replacing at all. So we're just going to put this one back in again. Make sure the purge poppet is in the centre, the adjuster body. Push that regulator seal back into place. And put the reg top back on. I just want to make sure that this is screwed all the way down so that the brass is meeting the stainless. There's no gap between these parts and you shouldn't be able to remove it by hand. Can then just put a small amount of grease on the O-ring around the outside. Screw that back into place. Then we'll reset this once we're finished. The number 8 is already greased inside there. So I can put the reg body back on. Again, just make sure that we have metal to metal contact on these parts. Just screw them down until they stop. They don't need to be overly tight. Make sure that our filter's still in place inside the gasket. And then we can put some grease on the O-rings around the outside. These O-rings need to be either a number 16 or a 14 by 2. You can use a 14 by 2 in these locations, will give it a tighter fit inside the frame. So once that's all cleaned and greased up, we can go make sure that the spring is central inside there. Put the pop's body back onto the frame, put the 2 mounting screws back in. Just do them, screw them both in, then just go from side to side, making sure both of those are tight. Once they're in, we need to reset the regulator adjuster. What we'll do is turn this all the way out till it stops. Once it's fully out, we'll go back in about 2.5 turns. 1, 2.5, and that should give you a good baseline starting point for your velocity, but obviously after any regulator maintenance you do need to re-chronograph the marker. Very important. But that is regulator maintenance for a CS3.